What are you doing?
I'm gonna try to jump over this side and drag the water tank, or drag the water thing closer so I can fill it up with the hose. So hashtag jump if you think I can make this. I think I should bring it all the way over to the hose.
We're not moving the sheep today, as they don't need to quite be moved today, but what we are doing is Lincoln's trying to get them watered and he's having all kinds of problems. But anyways, we want to make sure they have full water. But then the other thing about that is we do want to spend a little bit of time with them here. And we've noticed that as we are able to spend time with not only the bottle lambs, but these ewes behind me that aren't bottle, they were never bottle lambs, they were just regular ewes that we bought. They're getting much more used to us and they're getting much more tame, and that's kind of a really big deal when you're looking at having a small amount. I mean, we're just talking small amount of critters. We're moving them often so they see us a lot. They're getting used to us. And so I'm wondering if eventually, if we're gonna be able to get away from using the chicken tractor to move the ewes, and we'll just be able to take the fence off, move the fence where we want to go, and then call them into the next area. That would be really ideal. But I'm just not positive if we should do that quite yet. But I do know that as I come into their area, they are very aware that I'm here and they don't run away, they come to me. So I'm really trying to keep that going, and I guess just keep the training going. As far as we have a small amount of critters, and so the more time that we can spend getting them used to us, getting just being around them, I think it's huge. Because if we ever do have a fence down, if we ever do have problems, it's easy to get them back to where we want them to go. It's easy to work them when we don't necessarily have the best facilities as far as just what we might have to do. So I think it's in our best interest for us to just tame them down as much as we can. And sheep are fairly easy to tame down, especially if you're using treats of some kind, which I have been putting those alfalfa pellets in the chicken tractors to get them to go in there. But when I'm in here and when I'm trying to get them to follow me inside of the area, inside of their grazing area, I don't keep any extra feed or sweet feed or alfalfa feed or any of that with me. There's no treats. I just want them to follow me around here so that eventually they will follow me into the chicken tractor, or they will follow me into the certain area that I want them to go while I build the rest of the fence, or they get out and then they see me and they come to me. They don't run away. So just some thoughts on that. And I know that doesn't necessarily work for you ranchers out there with big herds of 300 sheep or whatever, but that's not what this is about. We're small here and we're dealing with 4 ewes, and the rest of them are just lambs, and of course the lambs want to come to us. So the grazing and the moving the fence is still going really, really great. And I think what I need to do is just do a series on what that looks like each time and why it's so good. And there's areas on our farm that we haven't grazed at all this year, but we did this exact way last year, and there is not a weed to be seen, and the grass looks phenomenal. So it's just this small grazing and moving the fences and working with the grass that's growing, whether it's cool season grass, warm season grass. There's just so much benefit to it that if you're not doing the rotational grazing, man, take time to check it out. You know, I'm no guru at all, but there is a lot of people out there that know way more than I do, so check them out. Like, the great thing about sheep is you can rotational graze these sheep, and they will actually eat down the grass to a point where you can come behind them with those meat birds, those the chickens that, you know, they don't really like to be in that tall grass. They usually, you know, it's okay actually to mow before you put them in there a little bit and get that grass lower, and then they'll eat all the grass clippings, they'll eat the grass through. That's what in our experience, the meat birds do not like to be in that tall grass. They like to be in grass that's growing well, but it's been clipped down. And the sheep are a perfect example of how you can do that with a critter, and not come out here with you know, some kind of engine, mower, tractor, whatever. So I just think the sheep are a huge benefit for our operation and what we're doing here. They make so much sense. They actually make a lot more sense than a cow because of the facilities that a cow takes to run, to manage, and you know, I think that's what we've kind of realized as well. Like, it's okay to have our dairy cow for milk, and she's just we spend daily we spend time with her, and so that works out well. But it makes no sense for us to have a herd of even probably 15-20 cows. That just would be a wreck here. But we can have more sheep, and we can mitigate the problems and the things that go on with that, and that works well with our situation, and they work well with the minimal infrastructures that we have. They just work really good. So really all I'm doing to train them is just walk in front of them and hope they follow. And if I'm really thinking that everything's going good, just kneel down and just see who comes. Who's behind me? Is everybody coming up to me, or is it just the lambs? If the ewes are coming up to me, that's a good deal, which I think they are. Not to mention, I got this little critter. So training is huge. Whether it's a sheep, whether it's that milk cow that needs the same thing every day, or, you know, your dog. I mean, you can train, man, you are crazy. You can train your critters to respect what you're trying to do. Another thing with this rotational grazing is I'm kind of in a neat spot here, because to my right, there is area that's already been grazed, and you can see the regrowth. It's coming back really nice there. To my left is the area that hasn't been grazed. So this is what it looks like. The alfalfa here is obviously starting to bloom. It's doing really good. Tall grass, not grazed yet. Already grazed, but they've been off it for 2 weeks. This is this area they grazed, or they were on this little patch where the cat is 2 weeks ago. It's coming back really nice. Everything in here is still really healthy, and that's a big deal, because if you were wanting to do 2 times over instead of our once over here, then you got to make sure that you're leaving enough behind that plant's going to still thrive. And these plants here, this alfalfa, the grass is thriving very well here. So that's a great indication that things are going okay, and the time frames that we're leaving them on versus when we need to move them are still within reason, and we're not hurting the plant ultimately.